everybody. Welcome back to my channel. So it is my first upload here for October, starting off the spooky season, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit special for this month. So this week I am an evil enchantress, and I already filmed this look and it'll be up next week. So each week I'll do a dessert recipe and dressed up as the character, and then I'll post the character. So with that being said, this week, as you can tell by the title, we are making pumpkin ice cream with Snickerdoodle cookies. It's just, I don't know, I can't think of a better way to welcome in fall than with pumpkin ice cream. It's just so good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our ice cream on how to make it. Okay, so the first thing that I did for this recipe is I wanted to get a large bowl, and I filled it with ice and then filled it a little bit with water, and then put my smaller bowl that I'm going to put the custard in when it's all done cooking. I want to get that done out of the way immediately so that once our custard's all hot and we really have to do this part quickly, it's already set up and ready. So once we had that out of the way, I like to go over to the stove, and we're going to put 1 full can of coconut cream and then a half of the other can that we're going to use in the saucepan, along with a cup of our pumpkin puree. Just stir that on the stove over about medium-high heat till like little bubbles start to form, as you can see on there. So in the meantime, while that is cooking, we can go ahead and prepare the rest of the stuff. So in a bowl, I mixed together 6 egg yolks. I like to separate those with my hands, but you can do it with the shells. Along with that, I mixed in a cup of the monk fruit, and I always grind that in the coffee grinder. That way it's not grainy in the texture, it just comes out real smooth. I also mixed in a tablespoon of arrowroot powder, a tablespoon of vanilla, and then 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and oh my gosh, it smelled so good. I'm so happy to have that start cooking with, or baking with that spice again. So I mixed that all together with the remaining coconut cream. I used, like I said, half the can, so then I poured the other half, and then you're just gonna mix all of that together. And by the time that's done, our sauce has probably started to bubble a bit around the edges, start simmering, and that's when we can go ahead and turn the heat off on that. And then I take about a half a cup scoop, and I slowly, you wanna drizzle that into the bowl that you have there and just whisk it constantly. We're trying to like temper our eggs, get them heated up. So that's what we're doing. And I put about 2 cups of the mixture, drizzling it in there before I poured it back into the pot that we had on the stove. So then once it's all back in the pot, we can put it back on the heat, turn it on to about medium. We want it to stay at a little bit of a simmer, hot enough to where it's still cooking, but obviously not too hot to where it's going to scramble our eggs. This is definitely very like heat sensitive, so we want to be careful. I think it took me about 5-6 minutes. It'll take about that long of just like constantly stirring it with a wooden spoon, and you'll just see it start to thicken. Don't get discouraged. I know a lot of times it's like you'll be stirring it for 5 minutes and it's on minute 6 that it gets thick. Once it starts to get thick, it like gets thick really fast. So don't worry if you feel like it's still runny. I just always check to make sure it's nice and thick on the back of the spoon. So I was just checking with my finger, and it was perfect. So once we have it all cooked there, we're gonna bring it over to our already set up bowl, because we already got that fixed with the ice. Just put a strainer on top and then pour the mixture through the strainer, and I just used a whisk to whisk it through real quick. You can't see in the clip, but my arms were so tired. I was just exhausted. I had done a hard arm workout, and I don't know, lifting my arms, it was just like, this pumpkin ice cream is thicker than other ice creams I made because it has the pumpkin puree in it, which makes it really good and creamy, but my arms were so tired whisking it in. But yeah, just put it through the strainer and then keep whisking it in that ice bath till it is room temperature. I could see the steam coming off, so pretty much once the steam leaves, it's pretty much almost done. So I just stick my finger in, and if it feels room temperature, I know it's done. Move it from the ice bath, and then I pulled out some plastic wrap, the Glad wrap, and you want to cover it and make sure you press it firm to the base of the ice cream. That way we don't get a film on top. That's gonna go in our refrigerator and just chill for at least 3 hours or up to 24 hours. But yeah, at least 3 hours you want to keep it in the fridge to chill. In the meantime, we can make our cookies. So I wanted to do Snickerdoodle cookies because I thought that would complement the ice cream because it has the pumpkin pie spice, and then the Snickerdoodles just have cinnamon. I just feel like they're a very good fall cookie, fall dessert there. Got it on my notes here. Okay, so for the cookies, the very first thing I wanted to do for them was get my ghee to the temperature I wanted it to cream. So I measured out a third cup of it. I like to put that on foil actually, because then I can fold up the edges to make sure it doesn't run out the sides. So I just put that on there and stuck it in the freezer. I think it probably took like 10 minutes, something like that. I left it in. We just want it to get firm, so not too cold, just so we can cream it. You can also use butter. If so, just leave it out on the counter so it's soft enough to cream. Then once our butter's done, we're gonna throw that in the bowl along with our 3/4 cup of the monk fruit sweetener or Lakanto, whichever. They're basically the same thing. So we're gonna cream that, and then with 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I love vanilla, so I always put a lot. I feel like most people put like a teaspoon. I'm doing 2, baby. So just cream that together. As you can see with my hand mixer, one of them has broken off, unfortunately. So I just had one little guy that had to do all the work there. And then we're going to alternate with our flour and our egg, just kind of stirring it in. I could not remember, I've made this recipe I used. It's my chocolate chip pecan cookie recipe. I just changed it into, obviously I didn't put the toppings, I just rolled the balls in the cinnamon sugar. And I could not remember exactly how much flour, so you'll see there in the clip, I started out with 1.5 cups, and I ended up adding another ½ cup later because I realized I did use more almond flour last time. I just couldn't remember. But anyway, I'm just alternating with the flour and then an egg, and then the flour and then the egg. And I also put 1/4 cup of the coconut flour in there. Then once that was all mixed up, I went ahead and sifted in the baking powder, which is 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon of the baking soda, and then I went ahead and put 1/4 teaspoon of salt through the strainer as well. And then I mixed that in, and I also added 1/4 cup of the coconut milk just to get the texture right. Trouble. It has been a long day of filming today, so I'm sorry if I'm not all here. So then once I had that all mixed in, I got my baking sheet out, and I like to put a little silicone sheet on there, then I don't even have to grease it. But of course, if you don't have one, just go ahead and grease your pan. I got a little scoop, I think it's probably around like 1.5 tablespoons, I want to say, but that's how big I wanted to make the little cookie. For the Snickerdoodles, I mixed 1/4 cup of the monk fruit, and this I did not grind, so I left it in its like sugar form that it comes in. And then I put 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. This was way too much. I only needed about half, so I would suggest you at home do 1 tablespoon cinnamon to 2 tablespoons of the sugar, and then if you do need more, you can always like add a little bit, but the ratio is 1 part cinnamon to 2 parts sugar. I was even thinking going more, and I was like, I think that this will be enough. Go figure. So then obviously you know how to make Snickerdoodles. You just roll it in your hand and then roll it in the sugar. I do suggest doing one hand for the sugar part so that both don't get all cinnamony. I figured that out about halfway through the process. For these cookies, we're going to bake them at 350 degrees, and I put them in for 12 minutes, and for my oven, that was the perfect amount of time. As you can see in the footage, they kind of crack a bit, which I love. I just think that looks so like rustic and delicious. I don't know. My family approved. They were like, can we eat some before you're done with the video? Now our ice cream has been in the freezer, hopefully for 3 hours. I don't know, once you clean up and do your stuff around the house. I just put the ice cream in the ice cream machine, and for this I only had to churn for left it in for 30 minutes, but you just want to see till it gets firm. 30 minutes was perfect for churning. Before I start churning the ice cream, I like to put whatever container I'm going to keep it in the freezer, That way it doesn't melt immediately. And I also like to put whatever bowls you're gonna eat it out of, go ahead and stick those in the freezer as well. That way your ice cream doesn't melt. So I do that while it's churning. And then when it's done, I'll put it back in its little, whatever container I put in, what was I saying? I can't deal with this anymore. I'm gonna turn someone into a frog. Okay, let me start over. I get the ice cream container out of the freezer, fill the ice cream in there, and I stick it back in for about 20 to 25 minutes after it's done churning. That way it can kind of harden up a little bit and it becomes like this perfect like soft serve ice cream. As you can see, they're like those perfect scoops I'm getting, and it makes my heart so happy. So then I just crumbled up some of the cookies, and then I put 2 whole ones on the side just because I thought that looked kind of pretty. I had some date caramel in the fridge that I had made. It was left over from my dad's birthday cheesecake I made him. And I wanted to heat that up and drizzle a little on top, but it didn't really get very drizzly, so that was kind of a fail. I mean, I'm sure it tasted good. No one wanted to eat it though. I got that whole bowl set up, and my family's like, it's too late to eat ice cream. It was like 8 o'clock, and I was like, fool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial of the pumpkin ice cream with the Snickerdoodle cookies. I hope you enjoyed this really creepy makeup, and look, I will be posting it next week. So if you're interested in how I did this, I will say it's definitely looked better. I have been filming all day long. I'm so sorry if I seem really tired. I am just so ready to be done. I started at about 11:30 and it is 6:18. So I'm just trying to keep my sanity, and I feel like I'm going crazy. But anyway, I am really excited to be making these videos for Halloween. I'm really excited. So anyway, enough of me rambling. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in next week's video. Goodbye, peasants.